Well, welcome back to another episode of the Weekday Saints podcast. We're so glad that you make time to join us for these amazing conversations where we get a chance to talk to people all over town who are using the gifts God's given them, the stories God's given them, to honor Him through the work of their hands. And today we have another awesome person for you to hear from, Pablo Mazariegos.
Yeah, Pablo's story is so powerful. And, for him to talk about his passion for wanting to tell stories, he literally sat here at this table and told us a story that we think will probably shock some people, but will pull on the heartstrings of others.
Really excited for you to hear this, as I hope you'll listen with open ears and see what the Lord has for you in Pablo's story. Pablo Mazariegos, thank you so much for making time to be with us today on the Weekday Saints podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. Excited to be here with y'all, man.
Thank you.
Excited.
Man, we've been looking forward to this one.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I feel like we've been talking about
it for a minute, and LaQuisha and I both have had the chance to get to know you over the years, and then when we were making a short list of people we want to introduce to our listeners that really love the Lord and are doing good work in town, you were at the top of the list.
Top of the list. Yes, sir.
Hey, man, God's good, right?
That's good, man. Well, before we jump into what you do for work, and tell us a little about who you are. Where are you from? Are you from Chattanooga? Are you from somewhere else? You have a family? Tell us a little about who Pablo is.
Man, that's always hard, like where you're from, This is like, I'm from so many places, but I'm originally from Guatemala City. I moved to a small town in San Juan. It was a rural town where I grew up the last few years of my childhood there. But I was raised in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, most of my life. 919, Chapel Hill State.
All right.
NC State for a year and wrapped it up at ECU. Go Pirates. Yeah. And then made the move down to Mississippi for grad school. Yeah. So, I was singing a lot of Johnny Cash on my way down.
I'm sure you were.
But I lived there for a few years. I went to RTS, Reformed Theological Seminary in Jackson, Mississippi, to get my counseling degree. And then moved here to be a counselor at New City Eastlake Church.
Okay. What year was that?
Man, that was about 12 years ago.
Wow.
Which is crazy because my wife was pregnant. And you know how you always get the notifications of old pictures of your child and you're like, oh my gosh. So, it's been 12 years, man. I fell in love with Chattanooga.
That's crazy.
Fell in love. I was in Eastlake. My friend Eunice from New City Eastlake kept telling me, you've got to come to Chattanooga. We met at a church conference of some sort. There's a lot of Guatemalans in Chattanooga. I was like, sure, whatever. Okay. Because I grew up in Raleigh. It's predominantly Mexican, Peruvians, Caribbeans, all sorts of nationalities. But now she was so right. I just fell in love, surrounded by children from Guatemala. I guess I never realized that I could have a little Guatemala here.
Yeah.
And I do. We do.
It's a large population.
Yeah. So I love it. I just love Chattanooga.
Yeah. How about family?
Family, yes. I'm married to my dearly beloved wife, Jessica, and I have my son is Luca, and he's going to be excited to see this video, I'm sure.
So he's is Luca 12, 13 now?
He's going to be 11.
11.
Yep.
Wow. Fifth grade?
Yep. He's in 5th grade. Yes. So.
Whoa. I got that age group showing up in my house. So
I feel like teenage years are showing up too early.
It's coming quick. It's coming quick. Well, tell us. That's a little bit about who you are, but tell us what does work look like? You have the counseling background. You've studied that. That's what brought you to town. What does work look like for you now, Pablo?
Yeah. So I'm a full-time documentary filmmaker. Yeah. Being in the counseling room, really fell in love with hearing people's stories. But obviously, because of HIPAA laws, you're like,
I can't tell anybody. Can't even tell
them. So, but it's always, it's always mind blowing to see the circumstances that God enables people to bounce back from. So, really fell in love with hearing people's stories, and then really just wrestling with my own story as an immigrant. I crossed the border when I was a kid. Just experienced a lot of shame and embarrassment, feeling like an outsider, hearing the terms illegal. All these things were often things that were embarrassing for me to talk about. So when God kind of took a hold of my story, it really gave me a chance to really celebrate other people's stories. And so there's definitely a correlation between counseling and storytelling. 'Cause, counseling is ultimately just an experience where you get to put words into what you're feeling, and all of a sudden you find healing, and you get to put all these plot points together with your counselor who says, "Hey, when did this happen? What was going on at that place?" It's just a story arc. Counseling is just building a story arc, and I fell in love with storytelling once my son was born. He took over my hard drive and my cell phone. So I think that kind of gave me a chance to tap into just the technical aspects of what it would look like to capture a story visually speaking. But ultimately the story is about what the person's telling us. And so I love it.
So what does that transition look like though? So like I too, I love stories. I love telling stories. Was telling a story when I walked in.
Right.
But there's something in you that had to cling on to the aspect of storytelling, because there's not a natural segue from being a counselor to a documenting filmmaker, right? So what is it that you love? Is it that did you hear the God in their testimony? Did you hear some rags to riches type story, or a travail that turned into a trophy moment for people? Like, what is it that it did it for you?
I read this passage where Paul is telling, I think it was the church in Ephesus, I don't know where he was telling, hey, Christ has died for your sin, and he has broken this wall that separates Gentiles and females and all these other nationalities. And I'm sure I'd heard that verse many times before, but in that moment, you know how you were talking about, you had an early morning moment that God was talking to you. For me, it was just like, hold up, you hear people talking about God's telling me something, and as a Presbyterian, you're always like, whoa, hold up, what does that mean?
I've been filling her in on that.
But no, it totally happened to me. God used that passage to tell me, Pablo, I have died on the cross, and therefore I have broken this shame or this embarrassment of your story. It's actually not your story. It's a story I need you to share with others.
Yes.
And so it's almost like my shame was just kind of the blocking for me to open up and build a relationship with others. And so once God took that shame down, I actually discovered that rather than feeling ashamed and embarrassed, and unwanted, like people didn't want me here, it was the opposite. People wanted me, and people loved me, and people embraced me. And so that allowed me to really embrace the church and open up all sorts of opportunities. So.
And you wanted to just tell, so that freedom and liberation that came with you being able to have the courage to tell your story, understanding that your story in God's hands will liberate other people. You knew that other people had stories just as powerful.
I mean,
don't
he?
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, I think one of the things we've loved about this podcast is no matter who's sitting in that chair and their story and where their background is, it relates with my story.
Yeah.
Like our stories are unique and to who we are, but there's aspects of who you are that, because we're made in the image of God together, that I can relate with, and that bless me. And I hope it's like to tell your story has become a blessing. I would assume for you.
Yeah. It's it's I could talk for ages about it. Just a sense of just feeling like you're like you don't belong, because it's when you're undocumented immigrant, or you're an immigrant in general, the media is calling you out. And when you grow up like that as a child, just picture like your children like fearing what's going to happen to my parents, what's going to happen to me. Mom, I see that they're locking them up. I see that authorities are showing up at workplaces and they're putting handcuffs on them. It's not going to happen to me. Like, are they going to take you away from me? And so all that begins to shape not just, how you view yourself, but your biology, right? You become very afraid and then confused. And so, yeah, it's really hard. So to go from that to then God saying, the opposite, like you do belong, and I want you to, and I'm going to use this for for his purpose. So it's been remarkable because it's just unbelievable, right? Because um, God has an interest in us, and maybe there's somebody listening that's feeling like, I have this and that problem. How can God really use me? Hey, man, God can, because he does it in the right time. I mean, it wasn't easy, but I have found to be a blessing to me, and so I kind of go around share it. Actually, 2 years ago, I finally had the courage to kind of like film the story and retell it, and because I'd kind of been going around, in the schools. I was working in the schools, so I would share with people, with kids, and with teachers and different circles. But I actually went ahead and filmed it this time. In many ways, I think every story I was filming was unconsciously, I was kind of itching for the opportunity to see what it would look like to tell mine. But I finally did. And I revisited the border. I went back to Guatemala.
Wow.
And it was just beautiful. Like, just this sense that, can God heal me from whatever trauma I've experienced? Like, yeah, he can. He totally will. So the film was titled Someday Soon. Just this sense of, can God really heal us from our past? In Spanish, the film was titled Un Nuevo Pasado, which means a new past. Just a sense of making a new meaning of our past. And so it's been really cool to share that story.
Yeah.
So that had to be hard.
Oh, yeah.
To recount some of the deepest places where you have childhood hurt. I mean, everybody has childhood hurt that you can kind of tap into, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the most challenging part? Because when you have to retell a story, you don't get to just retell the good parts and the lessons learned. So what is the most challenging part that you've had to face in this process?
Yeah, there's no real story unless you've really have discovered something. I guess, unless you haven't really tapped or experienced an emotion at a different level. What was the most challenging part of that? Man. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know how much. It's hard.
They're good.
Yoga.
I didn't know how hard it was for my parents, for my mom, to leave me. It never crossed my mind how eager she was and anxious she was, to hold me. When you're 9, you got a younger sibling, and you're away with your parents. You're like doing multiple things. You're looking out for yourself. You're looking out for your brother, but you're kind of confused. Like, do I have parents? How does this work? We used to write letters, and there's one letter, because this is back in the 90s, y'all. And one or a few of those letters, I thought the ink had something happened to her ink. It didn't hit me till I did this documentary that, mom was crying. And, as a parent now, it's just like, wow, I get it. But sitting at a table and filming this scene, and mom's telling me, this is during a documentary, I had your pictures up above my bed. I was like, what? I didn't know that, Mom. She's like, no, I really did, because I had to see you guys every day. And so she had our pictures up in the wall. And so to discover that I've always been loved was just kind of like, that was just mind blowing. So that was probably one of the deepest discovered, but I guess one of the hardest findings. I guess I was struggling with that, feeling like, am I loved, or what does that really look like? So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
That sounds like, and just even hearing you retell it was like a really holy moment.
Yeah.
Where in your own story, as you tried to tell it in a documentary form, it unearthed things you didn't even know. And I appreciate how this conversation started, where we're starting, as you talk about storytelling, we're starting with your story. And as you've grown in this role and what you're getting to do with film, you now have the privilege to steward other people's stories, which I'm sure creates lots more holy moments. And those are fragile and really precious things, as we just, that felt like a very precious moment. So thank you for inviting us into it. What are ways or things you do to prepare people for the stories, their own stories that you're helping them tell, as you try to help them steward, just as you've experienced how that impacted you personally in your own story, as you tell other people's stories? What are ways that you try to walk into those spaces for the people you're highlighting the things in their life?
Yeah. I think, gosh, there's a counseling response, and then there's just a Pablo response. But I think, you mimic what they're showing you. If it's excitement, you mimic the excitement. If it's vulnerability, you stay with it. I think one of the challenges of being a storyteller is people feel like we have to tell the good story. We have to show. We almost kind of have to be really scripted.
Yeah.
We have a paper here with questions, and we
Which
want to
we've
be
asked none of your-
I don't know where we have these.
Right. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think the hardest thing is how do we invite people to embrace vulnerability? And I think it's ultimately a God thing. There's no other way, because it's so hard to go deep, or if it's a story where you're admitting you did something wrong, or whatever the case may be. But I think my mantra has always been that healing begins when our experience is felt and understood. We know that if we allow ourselves to feel, then we will, we'll gain a better, deeper understanding. So I've learned to also just embrace that God's given me the grace to get in those conversations, and it's taken me years, but people have just helped me understand. No, Pablo, this is good. Like, you're good at this, or you can do this. And I was like, okay, because there's times that I'm like, should I ask that question? Should I not? So I thank God.
Is there a story that kind of comes to mind when you think about, this is your practice, right? This is what you're doing, and you understand, like, within yourself, how important it is to tell a story and how important it is for individuals to tell their story, but they haven't seen the fullness yet. So is there a story that comes to mind where your process of helping someone share their story has become a blessing for that person?
Yeah. Gosh, I've done so many stories, but one story that I guess comes to mind for me that I'm eager to tell one day is a future type story. This sense of, I'm looking at the audience and I'm saying, I just came back from the future. It's been 15, 20 years. The year is 2045 or 2050. And I just want to be able to tell people, Chattanooga looks so different, y'all. Chattanooga looks so different. All the current struggles that we're concerned about, whether it's, high school graduation rates, whether it's college acceptance rates, and it has changed. We have more Latino and Black folks, just succeeding in all these areas. and it's so different than whatever we see now. We have bilingual professionals, we have more Black doctors, we have more Black teachers, we have more like multi-ethnic church services.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever the case may want, that stuff that I guess I personally just so long for. That's the story that I'm ultimately eager to tell one day, because I think that's kind of one of the unique things about our city, is that we have all this potential.
Yeah.
But story wise, there's so many. Sorry.
It's okay.
One of the things too, it's easy where you hear stories of people feeling misrepresented in video, where a little snippet's pulled from what they said and it means something different. And as you try to tell stories, how do you honor a story while also having to do edits? And how do you honor, there's all the things you do when you're with the person present, but I know a lot of your work, and I'd love to get into this a little bit of all that goes into what you do with and your documentary creating. But what does editing look like? How does what we're talking about with honoring stories?
Let's tell the camera guy.
I'm talking to him too. But what does it mean for you to think about honoring the story in that process of having to trim it down? Like when you have an interview, you can't put everything in the documentary.
Yeah.
How do you do that in a way where you stay true to what their story is, what the heart is, and how do you hold that balance?
No, yeah, I think one of the challenges that when I have a client that wants to tell stories, that they want to like stuff all these characters, and so the size of story tells us no, like the least the better, especially if it's just one. So I think the best way to honor stories is when we find a character that has just an irresistible desire to achieve or to find something bigger than themselves. And so, usually when I take on a project, I do a lot of story finding. So I go and I scout and I see who are the characters that really aren't just going to tell us facts, but are going to let us in. We know that ultimately we're telling stories to move the needle on something. Like we're looking for results. And the science just tells us that before we move the mind, we got to move the heart. So we want characters that are willing to open up. And so the editing process it's a lot. It's a lot. Right now, I've been following a gentleman, Joe Banks from Chat Prep, football coach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Joe got a story.
yeah, I mean, it's editing his stuff is just powerful. His journey and his love for the kids.
Yes.
And the post-production aspect of things, it's almost like you have plants and you water them and you monitor them grow. It's like in the editing room, you have your screen and it's like you're continually listening to the stories, and you're listening to the pitch of the tone of voice. You're seeing what makes the person kind of elevate or rush in their tone of voice when they're talking about a particular theme. So it takes hours and hours. And the crazy thing is you often get the best interviews when it's not programmed as well. It's like you almost have to trick your talent to say, hey, let's just get ready. And next thing, they don't know that we're filming already, but it's just, you often kind of get the best results like that. But we invest a lot of time in story finding, and we just follow. I just follow them. With this story, with the Chat Prep story, I've been following Kits and Joe for a whole year. I cannot wait to tell that story.
You call it story finding. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about a conversation I just had about scripture, right? In that it doesn't matter how many times you read a particular story. Like there are books, like I think about Romans, I think about Philippians, I think about Ephesians, like New Testament. I've probably read those books 10, 20 times in my adult life, not even thinking about like all the mini lessons that you get as a child, right? But there's always another story to find, right? And so as you're story finding, what is the spiritual part of that? Because it's not just any story. It's not like you're just saying, this is a story I'm going to tell because it feels right, right? That's not the process, right? Am I?
No, I mean you build the system right. I grade them. So I grade. They tell me, hey, there's 10 potential people here. I grade them. Desire, uniqueness, and different things like that. And I put a 0 to 5. Does this guy have a strong desire? I mean, yes, everyone has a strong desire, but how much does he display it, or does he let me in? So that's a 5. Boom, I'm going after And so I kind of grade him. Spiritually speaking, it gets to a point where you're almost like one. You know what that character's gonna do. If you're following him on camera, you know he's gonna. It's like if the hallway's about to split, you already know. I know he's gonna go left, so I'm gonna go ahead, and you know what to ask. So there's definitely a spiritual component, and a lot of the subjects that I deal with are spiritual in the sense that strongholds. When you're talking about telling a story about post-secondary education, just the systemic challenges a lot of these families come from poor communities. That's spiritual.
Yeah, it is. Poverty is a huge spirit,
isn't it? So I definitely and obviously for me, I have friends and I have clients that sometimes are believers, so we're all praying for this. We know that this isn't just 16 gigabytes of storage. Like, we're trying to tell a story that's going to really create an impact.
We're kind of dancing around this, but you've shared a little bit about your story. You've hinted at some of the stories you're currently telling. Can you talk to me about what you're looking for in the stories that you're drawn to tell?
Yeah. Oh man, my dream right now is Ted Allen would say this because he shared this project, but my dream is that next year we're going to have a full house, people watching the story of 50 Black and brown boys fighting to go to college. So that's my dream.
And that it's so crazy that we have to that story has to be a dream. I wish I had it on today. I have a shirt, and it looks like a storybook, and it says this particular shirt, because it's mine. It says, "Once upon a time, a little black girl made it," and I'm like, why is that a fairy tale? Like, that statement, like, it looks like so there's a dream to tell this story. That it's important to somebody. It's important to document it, and it's important to be told. Yeah. So there's certain stories that you tell. What motivates you every day to do this work? Like, why tell these stories?
Gosh, I don't know. I think in many ways I sort of see myself in these kids in education. When my parents moved to the U.S., I moved to a small town, and I went to just this tiny school that was World Vision had founded.
Wow.
So, gosh, I could tell so many stories, but every week, let's say his name is Mario, would come to a class. He would knock. And you were there, if you picture like your East Lake Guatemalan kid, little, skinny, brown, black hair, that was me. I mean, that's still me. And that was so me. Like, when you go here to La Guatemalteca, anywhere on Main Street, Orchard Knob Middle, East Lake, wherever school, that was me. And so Mr. Mario would come, and he would call out a kid's name. And so you're always like, oh, who calls my name today? And because if he called your name, that meant that you were sponsored. That someone in America, I guess later on, I came to discover, kind of like they do in these, Christian concerts where they're giving out Compassion or World Vision pictures. My picture was one of those, which is wild to even think about. So it would mean that Mr. Mario came into class and he called your name, that you were sponsored, that you would have a chance to get a school uniform and go buy school supplies. Because it was 7 of us kids in the house, and there was 2 bedrooms. I mean, it was it was tiny and it was packed, so we didn't have all the resources. So sometimes, just my name wasn't called. But one morning, it all changed. He came in and I was like, oh my gosh, there's little Pablo looking at him. And I see him looking at me, and hold up, what's about to happen? And he said, Juan Pablo Mazariegos. I was thrilled. Because I was sponsored. And so
Somebody paid the price.
somebody paid the price. Somebody saw my picture. Somebody paid the price. And somebody shared and gave me a chance. Education helped me. And I know what it's like to be without your parents.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be just with mixed family. And that's a lot of our kids here, whether black or brown. And I know that there's a deeper cry than whatever we are seeing in the surface. And education is just going to be so important for them. It's going to change their lives. And I think Chat Prep's doing that. What that school did for me, I believe that Chat Prep is doing in the lives of those kids.
I'd love to hear you talk about how you see story making a difference. How does highlighting their stories change their story? Why is that an important thing for you? Why do you
Man, it's going to motivate others to when Paul talks about like he went blind, and I forget who came over there to pray for him, and just stuff started coming up. I think spiritually, that's all of us. We have these stigmas, like we're hopeless, that our black and brown community are just not gonna. We're just gonna stay where we're at. And I feel like, and I believe that this story will change that. And I think kids will watch the story when they hear about Zaire, one of our characters, who gets a college football scholarship. And I don't want to share out too much of the story, but it's just a beautiful story. When they see that, they're going to believe. Yeah. But more than that, they're going to see something deeper than just, oh, he went into college. Like, no, it's more than that. Like, we're not just trying to motivate. I'm not just trying to motivate people to go to college. Like, it's so much deeper than that, And so, I think it's going to motivate people to believe. And man, we're going to have black and brown man. I mean, come on, Lucretia, is that not exciting?
It's exciting. It is exciting. It's exciting.
I don't know.
And the stories are going to be told everywhere, and they'll be shared. Unlike the horrible viral videos that get shared, let's make these stories go viral. Yes. And I love to see those kind of things on my timeline.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. But that's what we want to do.
Yeah. Good stories for me make my imagination go places it didn't beforehand.
Oh.
And what I love about you, what you're saying as you talk about telling stories, when we keep asking you about stories, you keep talking about the things you're imagining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love that, because that's what you want people to see I can tell that's what you want people to see in your documentaries, is imagine what you're seeing in a new world. Talk to me about how scripture, how the gospel story plays into your imagination, and why, like, how you can imagine these things that don't exist. Does the gospel speak into that to you, or is there truths about what you believe about who God is that drive you in that work?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, when you're telling stories that are literally going to break in cycles and chains of oppression, because at the end of the day, a lot of us are mentally oppressed with that. Like, when you have a school that's saying, hey, you can go to college, you can get a degree, you can have an income, and you can be a good husband, you can break whatever stuff you've experienced in life. That's deep. And so you face challenges, and you got to go to scripture. And for me, it's, there's many times where I feel like, do I even belong in this space? A Guatemalan telling stories that are predominant about black community. What? Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, do I belong in the space? Am I?
We let you in.
Yeah. So
we let you in a long time ago.
Right. But There are challenges. There's a spiritual fight.
Yes.
There's a spiritual fight. When I was filming my story, I mean, it was a spiritual fight. People would sometimes think that I was advocating for just illegal migration. And no, I was advocating for healing. I don't want people to risk their lives like that. It's hard. So yeah, it's spiritual. And so I have to go to the Lord. And I have to lean on his words for me. And more than that too, lean on the wisdom of others. So even just talking to you guys and talking to other people, I am having people pray for me, help me see that, hey, maybe this is quote unquote spiritual. So yeah, I have to go to God.
Is there a scripture or Bible verse that like is kind of your guiding one you lean on or anything like
Yeah,
that?
in order to be a good storyteller, and I don't know if sometimes you hear this, a lot of us kind of get caught up in learning the methodology of how do you grab a camera. Let me make sure I have my questions right. But ultimately, a good interviewer is going to be someone that has engaged with what's it like to feel vulnerable, what's it like to label an experience. Do I feel sad or do I feel lonely? Do I feel hopeless or do I feel depressed? And for me, scripture gives me that. It gives me, when I read the Psalms, I find words that, I'm like, that's what I'm feeling. And this is what God wants me to know. And so I love the Psalms. I'm a Psalms guy. I mean, ultimately, I'm a Psalms guy.
Aren't you a musician? Don't you play a guitar?
Yeah, I play a little guitar, and I love the Psalms. But I mean, as an immigrant, though, as one who's often engaged with the immigrant community, I'm a Deuteronomy guy. Yeah. When Moses tell him, "Hey, you're gonna get to this promised land, but do not forget who your God is." And I think that's kind of one of the beautiful challenges that we have as immigrants, that regardless of what's going on, we can't forget about God. So Psalms is definitely one that really helps me craft my storytelling for sure.
That's really good. When you release something, that's you spent blood, sweat, and tears, put it to make it. I know you care about doing things, not just getting it done, but doing it with excellence. I can imagine releasing something that's like releasing your journal at some level. It's like a very vulnerable act to put something out there that you spend a lot of time on. How do you prepare your heart for those releases and that time?
Man, I've done a few, right? So now that I've done a few screenings, a few premieres, I just get really excited. I'm antsy. I'm like, can this day come, please?
Yeah.
Obviously, at the end of the day, you learn that it's not about a perfect premiere, perfect screening event. I think presenting your work, especially in a community, it's all about being surprised. You have to kind of allow and welcome that I have to be surprised somehow.
Yeah.
And then just have to kind of realize the problem that you're tackling. Like with education right now, only 2 out of 10 Black and brown men have a college degree in Chattanooga. Like, we're getting ready to change that. Like, that's big, like that's so you kind of sort of think about the problem you're tackling. But when I premiered my documentary with my childhood story, I was blown away. I think there's like 400 or so people at Chattanooga Christian. But the beautiful part, when my parents came, and it was like, they were like, hold me back. Like, I can't believe this is happening. They were so surprised, and it was so humbling. But
It was an amazing documentary, by the way.
in a time where attention is such a luxury, like if people listen to one song fully, it's almost like, whoa, that's good. Just because our attention is so short. Being mindful that people are giving you so much attention to watch something you put together, It's beautiful.
That's awesome. Well, Pablo, I know you're not a pastor. You did go to seminary, but you're not a pastor.
I did.
But I do think the way you talk about stewarding people's stories feels very pastoral.
Yes.
And your hope for the future. It just, I mean, it makes me think about my hope in Jesus, that he is renewing all things to himself. And as you talk about Chattanooga in 25 years, man, we have to have hope. Like the Christian life is being full of hope. So thank you for being a man who tells stories of hope, honest stories of hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for making time to be with us today.
Yeah. Thanks for
Thank
the invite.
Yeah. I'm so glad. Thank you so much.
LaQuisha, Pablo story. I mean, I cannot wait for his new documentary to come out.
Listen, I can't wait to hear the story, the way that he talks about the individual stories. So yes, the documentaries I think is going to be powerful, but I think we're going to all identify with one of those characters. Yeah. We'll be able to follow that young man and know, like, he's a nephew, he's a cousin, he's a community member, he's a church member, and we are going to follow him and know that there are going to be other boys that see him and see the power of that story being told, and that it could be them one day.
And the power that it has in future stories, but what I really admired was the reason he's good at telling stories and has been welcomed in to tell these stories is he has really owned the story of God's faithfulness in his own life, from a place of shame to a place of triumph.
Yes.
And I think Christians should be people who can imagine better stories.
Yes.
Because of what we believe. And Pablo said it with his words, but he was really showing it with his actions.
Yeah. Vulnerability, the amazing restraint that he had, even trying to share it with us, his story, his willingness to be vulnerable, I think makes him a great storyteller because he understands the passion and the pain. He also understands the purpose. And so he continually pushes through. And so as he's crafting all these individual stories, I think he probably sees himself in some of these young boys. When he was telling the story about Mario, right? Just the knock on the door, I felt that. I don't know about you, but I felt that, what does it mean to win the lottery of education?
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And his passion and zeal for telling those stories, and seeing the little boys' faces that reminded him of little Pablo.
Yeah. It encourages me and it challenges me that when I meet someone or I interact with them at work or around the city, that they have a story that they're walking around with too. And do I have the time and, as I would say with Pablo, the curiosity to know that story, to see them for holistically who they are.
Yeah. This was an amazing episode, and we thank you for joining us. We hope that it blessed you as much as it blessed us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Weekday Saints podcast.